Hey there, welcome back to Angry Bird. I'm going to talk about billionaires again. I'm just going to do another part two. So, why should billionaires not exist, man? What are some of the reasons? We all can think of stuff, right? I would imagine. I mean, I know there's going to be guys out there. Oh, you don't know shit, Bird. You don't know shit. Because they did last time I said this, so whatever. Here I go again. This is another one, all right? So bear with me. What is wealth? What does that mean, right? What does that mean? To somebody sophisticated, it means investing in, and all these different damn things. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what it is. It just means ownership. That's it. Ownership. So if you have wealth, you have ownership of something, and it exceeds what you owe. So if you own a bunch of stocks, you own a bunch of assets, you own a bunch of properties, you own a bunch of farms, you own a bunch of whatever, that would be considered wealth. Okay? So, in a game of life that we all live and we all are trying to struggle to, make ends meet, and you got 60% of us that just can't even afford a $600 payment next month if we have an emergency. In this world where that exists, we have billionaires existing. So, what is wealth? It's ownership, and what does that do to a person? So when I posted a video before and I said 50% of the population only has $24,000 and $900 or something to their name, on average, that means that's how much money they own in assets. That if they were to go to the bank and go, I need to borrow money, that's how much power they have. $24,900, unless they borrow what's called an unsecured loan, which just essentially means you're borrowing on your word. Okay. Secured loans get better rates. Secured loans are easier to pay back because it's through an asset. You can always sell an asset and pay back the loan. It's secure for a reason, and you get a better rate for a reason. But in a class of citizen where 50% of the population only holds $24,900 in value, they don't have that kind of loans, do they? What kind of loans do they get? They get credit card loans, right? High interest loans, high risk loans, subprime loans. So if you own wealth, you can borrow against your assets. And when you own everything, you leave out 50% of the population where all they have is about $25,000 worth of stuff to borrow against. And that's their purchase power. That's the limits. That's the amount of money they can use to create a business, buy an asset, or do something with. All right? And then you got these guys out there that hoard it all. All right? So how does that impact the economy? So that doesn't explain why they shouldn't exist, man. They're just rich blokes, right? Well, no, they actually hurt us. They hurt the economy. So how do you think a billionaire hurts the economy? You can argue opinions out there, and you guys can chest them. You're wrong. You don't know shit, right? But at the end of the day, what moves an economy is people spending money. Period. Dot. So sure, there's other aspects, future growth. Let's invest. Let's do these things, big projects. There's all sorts of mind involvement in creating an economy that expands and grows and has this future that we all want, right? But labor is what moves it all. And so when you got these billionaires, or I'm sorry, people buying stuff moves the labor, which moves it all. When you got these people hoarding it all, how much money do you think would be in the economy right now if everybody had 50,000 in wealth to their name? What about a realistic number, man? What about a realistic number? What about like 80 to 100,000? I would say that's probably realistic. I'd say the average bloke across the board, across the bottom, whatever, 60, 70% of people, if they had about an average of $100,000, $100,000 in wealth, I'd say America, overall, I don't think we'd have that much crime. I don't think we'd have that many problems because people with problems could get out of them. Not when you got to take a credit card to get out of it. Not when you got to borrow money just to buy food. What do you think happens when a stimulus check hits? What happens to the economy? Why does it stimulate the economy? Why is it called a stimulus? It's because they know there's a whole bunch of us, whole bunch of people out there, that the moment you give them something like that, they already had that money spent. They've been wanting to do something this whole time they haven't had money for. You gave them money to do it finally. The money goes right into the economy right away, and boom, we're back on track. Stimuluses work. What happens when a billionaire gets all that extra money? What happens to the economy? It don't move at all, man. It don't move at all. He just buys more of it. He buys more of it, When you own enough shit, you own the labor. You own the workforce because you own the companies that employ the workforce. It starts with wealth and ownership. And when there's nothing left to own because somebody's got so much money they can outbid you on everything, and then if they don't do it, someone else will, and someone else will, and so on and so forth, it becomes a game of, well, there's just going to be people falling while a handful rise. And the handful that rise, as they accumulate all this more wealth, they're stripping money out of the economy where people should be purchasing shit with it and borrowing with the assets and keeping us going forward. That's not what's happening. This is like 1929 all over again. It's off the charts inequality where people are so broke, and then people can go to the fucking, in outer space and play games. People don't know if they're getting food next month, and there's a group of people that had an island to go play evil games on. Let it register, man. These people extract ownership so other people can't own anything. Then they sell it to the public like, hey, we're just geniuses. We're just smart. That ain't it, man. You just own it. That's it. You had first dibs, essentially, and you said, well, fuck you, essentially. And you hurt everybody when you do that enough. If you take enough people and you just own it all with a handful, what else is everyone left with? So billionaires hurt people, and they shouldn't exist because they damage the economy. Overall, they damage it. And these guys out there that go, oh, man, they create jobs. Bird, you got it wrong. They create jobs. The hell they do, man. They buy jobs. They buy ownership of jobs. Creating jobs, if you really wanted to create jobs, you'd do it the Henry Ford way. You would pay them as high as possible a wage and give out the product as cheap as you can so it gets as many purchases as possible. That's how you do it, man. Because then everybody at your factory is buying as much shit as they can afford, and you're giving them so much to afford more. That money goes into the fucking economy. But if you don't want to pay those factory workers shit, and you just take all the money and you stockpile it, how does that fucking help anything? It doesn't, man. They kill the economy. Making a bunch of them kills us. Kills the economy. So if you're an average bloke out there, and you're trying to figure out why housing prices is so much, and you're competing against BlackRock for your next house, that's why, man. That's why. BlackRock, if you don't know, it owns a bunch of everything. It owns some of Apple, owns some of Google. So it owns so much shit. It owns equities that buys houses. You're competing against fucking billionaires for your next house. How is that fair? Like, it'd be one thing if you're competing against a guy down the street with the same job as you and you're just willing to chip in a little bit more. But that ain't what's happening. It's a billionaire buying that fucking house now. They shouldn't exist, man. Nobody should have that kind of power over the public. over other people's lives and livelihoods. Nobody should be able to buy someone else's fucking idea just because they have money to. People with ideas should have the means, not $24,000 to their name. They should have the means to make their idea themselves a reality, not have to go through a fucking billionaire. Anyway, just a thought. Love y'all. Bye.